Hello and welcome back to That Old Shop. My name is Mike Scott. This video is going to be on keeping your shop clean. I've often been asked by people who visited my shop, you have a nice shop, how do you keep it so clean? Well, for one thing, it's just a hobby shop. It's not a shop where I make a product in. It's not a shop where I do a lot of work necessarily. So that's number one, that's a big factor right there. The other reason is I'm retired, so I get to spend more time out here, although I don't because I'm working on getting a house ready to move, so I'm not spending much time out here, probably for over a year now. So yeah, I haven't really generated any mess, any dust and dirt and things like that, any chips. Probably another factor is I don't do much woodworking in here anymore. I used to do some woodworking. I actually made some small products for a craft show I used to do with a elderly friend of mine who's since passed away. And I don't do that anymore. And I just needed to get out of the woodworking aspect of it just because of like I've said it in my intro video, the sanding. I just can't put pressure and back and forth movement. The whole pressure thing was just driving me crazy. So I'll take you around the shop and show you how I do keep it clean when I do make a mess, which is on occasion, and once we move I'll get back to hopefully in a retired hobby sort of way, making some messes and show you what I do to keep it clean at that point and how I've kept it clean before this kind of stage where I'm at now. So I'll grab the camera and take you around. And with this machine right here, metalworking machine of course, one of the ways I keep this clean is I had a dustpan always for scooping out the chips to keep that down. The safety thing too, so they don't get wrapped around what you're working on, the chuck or something. An improvement upon that whole deal was these baking pans that a guy I used to know purchased them for me. They're brand new. You can find them used, of course, at garage sales and wherever you buy your used stuff at. So that's helped out a lot. And for a lathe, keeping the tools organized so they're not laying all over the bed down with the chips is I have a lathe board. I have several sizes, and I keep them behind the lathe on the floor there, but this the size that seems to be working out for me lately. That helps to keep often used tools, wrenches, things like that really handy. And in every machine, whether it's a woodworking machine or a metalworking machine, I always have brushes close by, and I usually have a brush that's marked what machine it goes to. This one says lathe on it, of course. So that helps to keep the lathe clean. Another thing I should point out with the lathe, particularly my lathe and my situation here, is this cheap little plastic rack I have up here. That helps to keep some of the tools off the lathe and keeps them up there. Also, I have a window over the lathe, so there's a ledge here where I keep all my quick change tooling up there, drills as you can see there. Once I move, if I don't have something like that, I'll probably, and maybe you guys have seen these, but guys have built around their lathes several narrow shelves for all their tooling to go on, particularly their quick change tooling. So that's what helps out there as well. With this little cutoff saw down here, sorry I'm so tall, so I gotta stoop over lots of times. You don't get to see my head. So I have a bucket here for any cutoffs, any kind of metal garbage here I want to put in the bucket. Sometimes the chips, if it's a small amount of chips, I'll use that bucket for cleaning off the lathe and for cleaning off the mill. So it's in between these two machines, a bucket for quickly getting rid of small amounts of chips. On the mill, this mill is so clean because, to be honest with you, I haven't used it since I brought it home. I used to have another mill here a Wells Index Model 40. It was a single phase machine, smaller machine that I use quite a bit. But this machine I bought, and then we decided, hey, let's move. So I haven't really done anything with this machine as far as making chips. Another thing that really helps out that I couldn't really live without is having shop vacs. I know these things were invented to help keep garages and people's home shops clean, but I do a little different take on it. In that I have, because I have metalworking machines, I have one just for metal chips. So once I clean off the machine with the pans or the dustpan, get the bulk of it off, I'll actually bring a cheapo shop vac over there that I got off the curb. So this was actually free, and it works really well for that. And once it gets too messy or too dirty, I'll find another one on the curb and toss this one out and move on with my life. So that one's just for metal. This one here is a more commercial vac. It's a Clark. That was actually for floor finishing, wood floors, for the cleanup of sanding wood floors. So that thing is pretty stout. It's pretty heavy. It has a much longer hose, has a good quality hose, more of a rubbery kind of plastic than the cheaper, thinner plastic on these throwaway shop vacs. So this one I use just for wood. I used to have a whole dust collection system, of course, when I had more woodworking machines, but since I've gotten rid of that, I use this for just cleaning up around a woodworking machine. The other thing that helps out is I don't have any woodworking machines in this shop. I have another little shed that I put what woodworking machines I do have, and normally this shop vac lives in there with those machines. Those are newer machines, you know, sliding compound miter saw and, you know, a portable table saw, things like that. Do have some sanders in there, so that all gets hooked up to this. So as you can imagine, it's, if I'm doing an operation on this woodworking machine, I hook the shop back up to that, and then I go to do an operation on another woodworking machine, I hook the shop back up to that. So, but that's what, you know, home hobby shops are all about. Another thing I like to do is, as you saw with the bucket underneath the power hacksaw over there, is wherever I generate a mess, I like to have a bucket there. This is kind of the shop trash can over here, this bucket, and I keep it under the vise. Let me move you up some. I keep it right under the vise that I use most. And if I use this vise or that vise, you know, I'll kick it over there, and, you know, whatever falls is going to go in the bucket for the most part. So that way I have less cleanup to do, less sweeping to do. This is somewhat of a problem area for me when I get to cleaning up some machine parts over here, as the dust just gets all over here. And for the most part, it does stay on top of here, so then I can bring one of the shop vacs over and suck all that off. But I hope to improve upon this whole situation, because I do have a dust collector that's made for grinders, for sucking up grinder dust. So I hope to incorporate that with these machines as well as the surface grinder. Another way that I can keep my shop clean is by doing a lot of the dirty stuff outside. So I have some workbenches outside where I can clean up a lot of machine parts, do a lot of the dirty work outside. And what helps with that is having some vices outside. Keep them out here and keep them covered up. We just had some rain, so that's why it's all wet. But that keeps the rust off them, and every now and then I'll spray them down with some oil or some WD-40 or something. As that's what that was made for, water displacement, right? The other thing is I have all my angle grips. with the angle grinders up here, I can just grab one and plug it in right here. If I have a bigger item, I can work on it here in between the vices. The smaller items I can, of course, put in the vices. This is a cheap Chinese or Taiwan vise. Somebody gave me this actually. So this thing swivels all around, so that helps to clean things up. This is a Trojan down here. Fixed base on that one. So I have several angle grinders. I only have 6 right here. I think I have 7 or 8 or 9. I lost count, to be honest with you. So I keep this metal cutoff saw out here for even, of course, for long pieces that are too difficult to maneuver around the shop, but keep some of the mess out here as well. So right outside my shop, where I have one of these portable carports, I actually got the frame for free because it's one of those carports that has a tarp type roof. So I got the whole frame for free because it didn't have that. That was destroyed, of course. And I just put metal on this frame. A little difficult to get the screws in, the sheet metal screws, into the round frame as opposed to a square tube frame. It works out, gives me an area out here where I can make a mess, whether if it's cleaning stuff up or painting something, laying things out, taking things apart sometimes. That helps out here. Helps to keep the shop clean. And I'll grab the camera and show you more of an overall view of what's all going on out here. So as you can see, this is one of these portable carports. I have this tarp on this side because it's the west side, so it gets really hot sun beating down through here, so I just have that up for there. But the roof is metal, round tube frame. And the round tube frame, I had to make a lot of braces. I made all these braces because I just had a bunch of 3/4 thin wall conduit. I just flattened out the edges. Put these cross member pieces here. All across, gives me some storage up there. I also have some old garage door panels that I can bring out and put on sawhorses. Do that messy, bulky or hard to handle stuff that's too hard to handle in a smaller shop. I can do that temporarily out here. Another view from over here. There's the cabinet. This is where I have one of the Ford tractors that I've mentioned in my intro video. So in addition to having an additional workspace outside undercover, I can have a tractor undercover. Then another thing mess-wise, as far as bringing home another machine, before I ever bring it in the shop or even near this area here, I will do a heavy cleaning outside with the power washer and this product down here you see in the yellow gallon. That's a Zep degreaser. It's called Fast 505. So that stuff works really good. I'll use that sometimes on the machine out here before or during the power washing process, or kind of a finished degreasing once I bring it inside. I have some in a sprayer and I just spray it on the machine or machine parts and finish cleaning them up there. I also have a bench up front. My shop is located behind my garage. My shop's behind the garage. So up front here, in front of the garage, I have this big long workbench here that I do a lot of the messy stuff here initially. When I bring something home, it comes off the trailer and I disassemble it here and do some cleaning, power washing here. And this big bench here I got for free. Actually has a bowling alley top that lots of guys make benches out of. It needed a little help, especially since sitting out here. I wasn't covering it for a while, but now I'm covering it once I did a little work to help save the wood top from the weather. I really got the bench because it had a vise on it and I wanted the vise, and everything was free. The guy just wanted to get rid of it, so I got the bench and I keep it here for, like I said, the initial messy, dirty stuff when I bring stuff off a trailer. That's most of what I got for this subject anyway, keeping the shop clean, other than try to keep the woodworking separate from any metalworking, particularly any welding. I do some welding in here inside the shop, or I'll do it outside. Sun can be a problem when you're trying to weld though, so sometimes I'll weld underneath that carport out there. It gives me some shade, helps me to see what I'm doing. The other thing would be sandblasting. Any sandblasting is kind of hard to keep control of the mess. Even with inside the cabinet, you're taking stuff out and you think you've dumped everything out and you dumped some sand all over the floor or on the bench or whatever. So try to keep those separate from, especially the metalworking machines that have exposed ways that have oil on them. You don't want the wood dust on there and the sand, and especially rusted things from cleaning up machine parts. The other thing is probably one of the major things is your attitude. If your attitude is you don't want to have a clean shop, you don't care, you don't want to spend the time doing that, then you're never going to have a clean shop. I got the attitude from basically the military. When I was in the military, of course, everything had to be clean and you always picked up the area and things like that. So that's helped out a lot. Other than that, that's all I have for you. I hope you learned something. I hope you found something that you can use to help keep your shop clean. So if you're liking what you're seeing, don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.